Hi, I'm Gordon from Camera Labs, and in this video I've got the latest news about Canon's EOS R3 Pro mirrorless camera. These are all facts presented to me during a personal briefing by Canon. Following April's development announcement, Canon has revealed a bunch of new details about the EOS R3 and even let me get reasonably close to a pre-production model, although like earlier teasers, not actually go as far as to touch it. So here's what we know now as of June 2021. First, the magnesium alloy body with its built-in portrait grip, which Canon has now confirmed shares the same dust and water resistance as the 1DX series, making it their toughest mirrorless camera to date. You'll also notice the R3 sporting the same two pairs of buttons to the left of the mount, which on the 1DX3 were assigned as multifunction and depth of field previews. Using the standard RF body cap for scale, I estimate the R3 will measure about 140mm wide by 135mm tall and between 50 and 100mm thick, depending on which protrusions you measure. Now that makes it smaller than the 1DX Mark III, which measures 158 by 168 by 83mm, and I've made a very rough mock-up here to give you an idea of how they'll compare in size. So while the R3 is obviously larger than cameras without portrait grips, like the Sony Alpha 1, it is a lot more compact than the flagship DSLR. Canon has also confirmed the R3 will use the same LP E19 battery pack as the 1DX Mark III, allowing owners of that DSLR to swap or share batteries. And here's how that battery looks for my 1DX Mark III review. It's rated at 2700 mAh, so roughly 1/3 more than the LP E6NH that's supplied for the EOS R5 and R6, and it's high voltage too. From the rear, you'll see the R3 inherits some of the 1DX3 controls, including a similar power switch, but most notably the smart controller that made its debut on the flagship DSLR. This allows the AF on button to double as a means to quickly adjust the AF area position. Here it is in action on the 1DX Mark III, where the optical technology in the button works a bit like an upside down computer mouse, providing fast and surprisingly precise positioning of the AF area. Like the 1DX Mark III, Canon accompanies the new smart controller with a traditional joystick on the R3 and duplicates these pair of controls for vertical shooting too. Now, Canon previously revealed that the R3 would also be able to reposition the AF area using eye control, and while there's no additional viewfinder specifications just yet, the pre-production sample here did sport an unusually large eye cup and viewfinder housing, perhaps to accommodate the technology. The shorter height of the R3 means there's no room for the secondary LCD status screen which sat below the main monitor on the 1DX Mark III, and it's unknown whether the rear buttons can be illuminated or not. I hope they will. Unlike the 1DX Mark III though, the R3's rear screen is fully articulated, flipping out to the side and twisting to almost any angle. The screen was always fixed on the 1DX models, presumably for ultimate robustness, so it's interesting that Canon's opted to articulate it here. I'm not complaining though. From the top, the R3 takes inspiration from both the 1DX3 and the R5. Like both those models, there's no dedicated mode dial, with the R3 inheriting the R5's approach. But on the left side, you'll see the R3 adopting the 1DX Mark III's approach to adjusting settings like the drive, metering and AF modes. While I wasn't allowed to turn the camera on quite yet, that top screen does look similar in size to the R5, but making its debut on the R3 is a new accessory shoe in the middle that can provide communications and power to new accessories. I'm assuming a bit like Sony's multi-interface shoe. This makes it more convenient to power, say, a microphone using the camera, as well as not needing to have a wire dangling down the side. Behind the door on the grip side are dual card slots supporting SD and CF Express cards, presumably in the same configuration as the EOS R5. On the left side you'll find the ports, microphone and headphone jacks, USB and HDMI, presumably still micro, flash sync and an Ethernet port for wired networking. There's also 5 GHz Wi-Fi. In April, Canon teased a new type of subject would be recognised for autofocus tracking, and it's now confirmed that it's motorsports, detecting cars and bikes, as well as people, animals and birds as before. All subject recognition carries through to movies too, and Canon described the dual pixel AF system as working down to -7 EV. The photo and video resolutions remain unknown, but Canon has now revealed that 4K video will be oversampled and that the camera will also support internal RAW video recording and Canon Log 3. Canon previously mentioned the R3 would shoot at up to 30 frames per second and has now confirmed that this includes RAW files with full AF and AE tracking. The stabilization system also now claims up to 8 stops of compensation depending on the lens. These latest updates supplement what we already knew from April, primarily that the R3 would employ Canon's first stacked BSI sensor for high-speed readout and reduced rolling shutter, but still no confirmed price or release date, although presumably the R3 does need to be ready for any summer sporting events that actually go ahead. And that's it for now. If the R3 follows a similar campaign to the R5, my next experience with the camera should allow some hands-on time with a working sample. Until then, let me know what you think, especially regarding the possible resolution, price, and how you personally feel about the body design and controls. Thanks as always for watching, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on my latest news and reviews. See you next time. Bye bye.